So in this video, I wanted to do a brief follow-up on this pen. It's called the Fisher Space Pen Infinium. And if you recall from my older videos, I did a review of this about 3 years ago. If not, there's a company called Fisher Space Pen. They make the astronaut pens and those sort of famous pens from the 60s or whatever. And they make this pen called the Infinium. And all of their pens have a lifetime warranty on the pen body itself, but this one has a lifetime warranty on the ink as well. Basically, the ink is going to last your lifetime. And if it runs out somehow, you could send it back and they'll refill it. It's a pretty interesting concept, but it comes at a really huge premium, with this pen costing something like $150 around there. I forget what the exact price is. But I bought one, and it was relatively new at the time. I'm not sure if it was exactly brand new, but it was quite new. And I've been using it on and off for the last 3 years, and I wanted to do a quick follow-up. As far as the usage goes, it's really hard to tell how much I've been using it. It's not like an everyday carry type pen. It's not something I would say I consciously use, like, oh man, I gotta grab the Infinium and make sure I give that a whirl this week. But, you know, I'll use it for a couple days, I'll put it back, use it for a couple days, put it back, throw it in my bag for a week, put it back, that sort of thing. And it's still going pretty strong. So I wanted to just do this video to check in on the pen and then talk about some ideas and thoughts about it 3 years in. So first of all, as far as the writing goes, it still works. There's no problems at all with that. I'm really happy I bought the blue. Mostly Fisher's pens, you find them in black ink. This one I had tracked down in blue, which I really do prefer. Still writing nice, strong, really dark, really consistent, and this is one of the better Fisher refills I've had. It does do that sort of ink globbing that Fisher pens and any pressurized pen often does. You won't see it here, but at the start of writing, usually there'll be a little bit of extra ink there. And I'm curious how much that'll actually decrease the life of the pen itself over its lifetime. Because out of all the ink I just put down here, that little glob at the end, after not using the pen for a week, I bet it's a lot more than what you're seeing right here. So it seems kind of counterintuitive, but that's kind of the name of the game with the pressurized ink. Basically, this is pressurized. Any sort of chamber where the ink is pressurized. It's pushing the ink out. That's why these can write upside down and underwater and things like that. But the downside is if you don't use the pen for a couple of days, there's some extra ink here. So that first stroke will have like a bunch of junk right here. And again, I wonder if that's actually losing more ink through essentially waste than you are actually going to be using the pen over its lifetime. It sort of doesn't matter, because Fisher will, they say they will replace this, and I've never had a warranty issue with the company. I've sent them multiple pens over the years, and I've always had a good experience. I've not sent this pen back. There's no indication that it's running low on ink or anything like that. The performance now is as good as it was, if not better. So I would say like it's still writing really well. I want to do a quick comparison. Here's some other sort of standard ballpoint style pens. Not that these are good or bad or whatever. These are just other blue ballpoints. Actually, they won't all be blue, but these are standard ballpoints. So this is just a cheapo Bic round stick. You can see similar, but the Bic is much lighter. Similar in that they're both oil-based, very standard old school ballpoints. We have this old school Stadler, whatever. Again, much lighter than that Fisher, so that with the Infinium, you're definitely getting a pretty good ink experience. And here is a true, true red, like the Staples, or I think it's Staples. Again, this one's pretty much on par with the Infinium, maybe not quite as dark, but again, this is like a, 50-cent pen, 25-cent pen, something like that, and you're getting a similar writing experience. This one won't work underwater, it won't work, in very high temperatures, so it doesn't have all the advantages of the Fisher. I just want to get ahead of the point where people are saying, this is $100 or $150, whatever, you could buy, 1,000 of these, and that would also last forever. Like, completely true. It's more about sort of like appreciating the pen and appreciating the craftsmanship and the design. That's what the Infinium is about. It's not just about, efficiency. Lastly, we'll just do this kind of Hauser. This one's actually brand new. And I really like these Hauser XO pens, and these are way under $1 each. And now you're getting to, it doesn't have the width of the Infinium, but you're getting to a darkness of ink that's quite close. So these are, I think, quite exceptional, the Hauser XO ballpoints. Not that easy to find, but they're available. Okay, so ink quality, undiminished over the years. Ink capacity, I honestly, I don't know. I should have weighed this when I bought it 3 years ago. Now I could weigh it now, and I could say, hey, look, there's, 0.2 less grams of ink, but I don't know how much ink it started off with, so it wouldn't have been that helpful. It just would have been interesting. As far as the pen body itself goes, it's held up really well. This is I think they call it the gold titanium nitride or gold titanium or something like that. And this has held up really well. I have seen, as I use it, sometimes you'll see a tiny little speck of gold kind of lying around on your notebook. And I think that's coming from sort of pivot points, like inside the clip or sort of right around sort of the inner edges, like, so not a pivot point, but in this case, a friction point where that cap is getting some friction there. You can see it's sort of, let's see if it doesn't, like, it's very hard to focus on something this shiny, but you'll see there's like a kind of a silver line here. So I think it's losing some gold there, or titanium nitride or whatever it is. But on the whole, the outside of the pen looks really nice. I thought this area would actually look bad from posting it, but it's mirrored enough or shiny enough that it actually goes on pretty well. This is pretty loose here too, which probably helps, but one of the reasons I haven't used this pen as much as I wanted to over the past couple of years is, I mean, first of all, you get a little tired of using the same pen over and over again. So that's kind of just a deep flaw with the Infinium concept. Second of all, I've been really afraid of losing the cap. The cap doesn't have the clip on it. The clip is on the pen itself. So this cap, it just, like, you put it down and it just sort of rolls wherever, and it's not on. Here it's on pretty well. Here it's not on that well. So if this falls off and it rolls somewhere and it's gone, then your pen is basically down the drain. So I've been kind of afraid of losing the pen, and more specifically losing the cap. And I would have carried it a lot more. But that kind of more a problem with me than it is with the pen. This fit is still right on. It's a really nice pressure fit. You can feel a little bit of kind of scratching on the knurling, which is like not ideal, but that's fine. The clip is held on quite nicely. That no issues there. It's not scratching the pen body. You could still pull it off and get it back on if you want to. And that you would only really do that is if you found this to be annoying, was the clip is sort of dictating how you hold the pen. Otherwise, it could be in the way, but it hasn't really bothered me. And I use this pen. If I'm going to do any extensive writing, I use it posted like this. But usually I'm just grabbing it, writing some quick notes, and putting the cap back on. And I'm holding the cap the whole time. Maybe I've gotten a little bit paranoid about the cap, because I'm committed to seeing how far this pen will last. But again, that's more of my usage. All of this has held up really well. No problems with this seam here. And the knurling still has a lot of grip left to it. They did a nice job with this spiral knurl here. It's just like they kind of like etched or scratched or scraped or ground down this sort of spiral here, and it has a really cool feel to it. Okay, so ultimately I would say the Infinium is still doing exactly what it said it would. It still writes really well. It's held up quite nicely. No real major scratches. A couple little mars here or there where I've probably dropped it, or it's hit a notebook or something like that. That's sort of inevitable, but on the whole, the pen has held up really well. And again, hard to say exactly how much I've used it, but I've definitely carried it, for like hundreds of days, I guess, or maybe not hundreds of days over the past 3 years, but well over 100 days. So I've definitely got a lot of use out of it. The actual, how many pages I've written with it, that's probably not a giant amount, because I tend to use it for note taking, but it's, it's still going, and I have no intention of selling this one. I'm gonna see how far this goes and see how far this Infinium actually lasts. So hopefully I'll check back in another couple of years, and we'll see if the pen is still surviving then. But yeah, that's the Fisher Infinium, still working 3 years on, and I'm still enjoying it. I don't love the gold, honestly. I wish I'd gotten the black titanium nitride, but if you're looking for these, at a good deal, it's you got to take what you can get, which they are quite expensive at retail. But yeah, that's the Fisher Infinium. Thanks for watching.